You want shirts? I got shirts.
It's only a game. Why you have to be mad?
What is up, Heroes of Dominion? My name is Charlie. This is Hero Wars Central, and in today's video, we're going to discuss the mage support hero that is Lian. She is a backline mage slash control intelligence-based hero. I have on screen her max stats on mobile, so check that out. She's got an interesting skill set, but before we get into that, I want to talk about a little about these tier videos. If this is your first time joining my channel, I do informational, educational videos for the Hero Wars game on Facebook and the Hero Wars mobile game on Android and iOS platforms. I do not do anything with the web version, so please don't ask. I don't know much about that. However, a lot of my tier videos from this point forward are going to be, probably starting next month, are going to be on my Patreon account. So if you are interested in seeing how I feel about different tiers, that would be the place to be. I will post most of them to YouTube, but occasionally I will be posting them only exclusive to my patrons. So be sure to check that out if you are so inclined. However, today's video, we're going to talk about Lian. Like I mentioned, we've got 5 tiers, and on screen, I've got those 5 tiers. I'm not going to go over each tier individually. Just know that there are 5 tiers. Know also that the names are inside jokes from my live streams. We have a lot of fun on my live streams, so if you're missing those or if you want to attend more, keep an eye out. I like to try to give you a heads up about 12 hours. Sometimes it's a surprise, but yeah, hopefully you've had enough time to read through these, and if you don't, just go ahead and pause the video now and catch up on it. But like I mentioned earlier, Lian is a control-based hero. She does do magic damage, and she's got an interesting skill set built around controlling the enemy team by charming them, which is effectively putting them to sleep. Okay, charm in a lot of games would convert them to be fighting for your side, but in Hero Wars and Hero Wars Mobile, a charmed enemy is an enemy that's asleep. So her gray ability, her ultimate ability, is an area of effect ability that charms the entire team for 7 seconds. Very strong. However, if an enemy that is asleep takes damage from anyone other than Lian, then the enemy wakes up. So if you have a team that's doing area of effect damage, then it's going to quickly wake up the opponent's team, and you know, the ultimate to be wasted. Her green ability is a very strong damage dealing ability, as it does pure damage, and it is based on 50% of her magic attack, which is a really high modifier for magic attacks. Fires a magical ball at the nearest enemy, then brings it back, dealing pure damage along the way. So it effectively will do a ton of pure damage to the enemy tank. Her blue ability, Wandering Lights, creates 5 magical spheres and launches them at the nearest enemy, dealing magic damage. So again, you can see single target only damage. However, you know, like the gray ability said, Lian doesn't wake up enemies when she hits them with her attacks. And then finally, her most important ability for the sake of her toolkit, that is Conciliation, and this is a passive skill. Whenever Lian is damaged, and whenever anybody does damage to Lian, the enemy who dealt that damage is put to sleep or charmed for 4 seconds. Now, whenever I get to talking a little bit about where I feel that she belongs in my tier list and how she's effective and how she's ineffective, this is going to be the most important ability. That enchantment ability sounds awesome, but actually in practice is not. I'll get to that in just a second. She's got a couple of good skins. She's got her default skin of intelligence. She's got a pretty interesting looking romantic skin for magic attack, and then finally her solar skin is armor. At least these are the skins on Facebook. Of course, if you're on mobile, you might want to double check that those skins are a little different, as sometimes the mobile and Facebook versions of the game differ. Her artifact is magic attack, which is very strong, and her book is health and magic attack, which is also okay. It's good to have for control heroes to have more health. But since I don't feel that she's designed to do damage, I would have liked to have seen this magic defense or maybe armor instead of health magic attack. And of course, finally, her ring is intelligence. So where do I put her in my tier list? So we got to think about what she does for your team. She does damage and she controls the enemy. The thing about Lian is you need to build a team specifically around her in order to be effective. Now, initially that would say, let's put her in the stop sign tier. You would build a team around this hero as she doesn't bring utility to every other team. However, in practice, all of these single target only teams that have been put together do not do a good enough job combating any of the most popular teams or any of the most popular, semi-most popular teams with strong heroes in them. She kind of falls flat as a primary hero. And this has been a debate that I've been having with myself for the past week or so, where to put her, since she doesn't do enough damage on her own. And I don't believe that she's strong enough on her own to build a team around. There are a couple of teams that are kind of fun. And in particular, I got from a subscriber an Aurora, Celeste, Jorgen, Faceless Lian team that is a lot of fun and it's pretty effective, but not quite effective enough. She is not a stop sign tier hero. She's actually a milk crate tier hero. And this tier brings utility to some teams against certain teams, and she's specifically a counter hero. And it's because the fact that she's more of a counter hero than anything that she's got to go in this tier. Now, the reason why I do my tier list this way, as opposed to an A, B, C, D tier, is my discussion isn't about overall power level. It's more about, if I were to give this video to a new player, how could they conceptualize where to put Lian in the grand scheme of things? Do I want to level her up for my main team? Do I need to level her up for an alternate team? That's the big discussion whenever it comes to these heroes, at least when it comes to my tier list. So Milk Crate tier brings utility to some teams, and she's a counter hero. The first counter discussion that I want to talk about is against Cleaver. And on screen here, you can see I've got a couple of videos. I got one looping. Cleaver cannot hook Lian. So if Lian is in the back of your team, or if you're going up against a particularly strong Cleaver, stick Lian in the back of your team, or at least try it. Every time that Cleaver tries to hook Lian and drag her forward, Cleaver is put to sleep because of Lian's Violet ability. So because of that, his Cleaver's other ability, his area of effect, self-damage, putricide spell ability, whatever it's called, is almost completely nullified. It does still affect your tank and potentially your warrior up front. However, without the ability to slowly over time pull all of your team to the front line, the Lian, then the other support behind your mid-range, and then your mid-range forward, his area of effect damage stops really affecting your team all that much. So that's one big counter that you could slot Lian in for. The other really strong counter, and this is particularly effective on mobile, not so much on Facebook, I'll talk about why, is against Kira teams. So every time that Kira uses her Dancing Blade ability, that's that ability that affects the whole team. If Kira's basic attack will ricochet between all enemies, and it does damage to all enemies instead of just the main thing. So since this is her basic attack, every time that Kira throws this ability out, Lian will charm her. And even whenever Kira throws out her ultimate ability, which hits the entire enemy team, Lian will charm Kira. And in a lot of cases, these Kira teams, the only damage dealer of any kind of respect is Kira. A lot of them are running Anvari, Kira, Nebula, Jet Sebastian, and Jet Sebastian and Anvari and Nebula, they do some damage, but they don't really make up the bulk of how and why Kira teams win. Unfortunately, on Facebook, Sebastian completely nullifies Lian. So let's talk about how to counter Lian's ability a little bit. So the main thing, putting your team to sleep, is countered completely by enemies that will remove debuffs or remove magical effects. Excuse me. So you have Sebastian on Facebook that clears all negative effects. Unfortunately, on mobile, he only clears, I believe, stun and curse effects. He will remove all debuffs and prevent the next 15 debuffs from being applied to your team, which is kind of crazy. That's his Ode to Serenity ability. You also have Nebula's Serenity ability, and this works on both mobile and Facebook. The ability will restore the health of 2 nearby allies and remove negative effects from them. So this could remove the charm effect from Kira if Kira is in front of Nebula, which she is on mobile and on Facebook, but it doesn't happen frequently enough. And the other big one that a lot of people use is Celeste. Her, I believe it's her Limbo ability. The Purifying Sphere that she throws at the ally with the weakest health will block all negative effects. It will clear and block all negative effects from landing on that hero. until the Purifying Sphere disappears. So a couple of different ways to counter Lian's sleep effect. You can just throw a Cornelius at her. You could do enough damage quick enough that it's not going to matter. But those are a couple of ways to counter Lian with your various team setups. So coming to the end of the video, I want to briefly talk about again why I feel that Lian is more of a control hero, more of a counter hero, and that's because again, she's not powerful enough to stand alone as a damage dealer. She's not powerful enough of a control hero to build a team around. So I got to put her in the milk crate tier on my tier list. So on screen now, I've got the link to the Galahad tier video that I did a couple of weeks back. And for those of you that are members of my Patreon, look for the Marcus tier video coming up later this week. I love you all. Good luck in Dominion.